and start the podcast. Hi, welcome to the show. My name is Rob Gargiulo, and we are live on the internet with you, the viewer. Thank you for watching The Unusual Suspects. An awkward start to an awkward Thursday show, and it will get awkward today. We have lots of stuff to get to. First of all, if you are joining us today, thank you so much for joining us on a day that's not our typical broadcast day. If you have not done so already, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with who?
With someone close, not in proximity, but in relation.
Okay, in relation. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share. That way you can always be notified when we're live here on The Unusual Suspects. A lot of stories to get into today, but before we jump into the topics, joining us today on the program, our usual cast of Unusual Suspects. We have Connor Walcott, producer of the show. We have Humberto Ballart, and we have Elon. How do I pronounce your last name? It's like Sprint.
It's a mystery.
You just go with one
We'll just
name.
go, yeah.
Elon. And we have a ton of topics to get into for you guys today. Barack Obama reportedly, well, from his own words, confirmed the existence of extraterrestrials before he slow-walked that comment back. President Trump, meanwhile, turns out that he may have a speech set and ready for disclosure, and there's been a date floated as to when he is going to tell the American public and the world at large that aliens do exist. We'll also dive into the 1997 suicide of Kurt Cobain and fresh evidence from the investigators who have investigated that suicide and have ruled that that suicide is not a suicide, but possibly a homicide. The Seattle Police Department has responded as to whether they're going to reopen the case or not. We will dive into that as well. And finally, Epstein. You cannot get away from it, and I am glad that that is the way that this is going. Every day there is a new update, and this morning I woke up at 5:55 this morning, and I saw that Andrew he's got the longest name I've ever seen.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
That's not even it.
Today is his 66th birthday, by the way. It's not going well for him.
What is Prince Andrew? That's the way that he's not a prince anymore.
The artist formerly known as Prince Andrew.
We're coming back to Prince a lot today.
His full name is Andrew Albert Christian Edward Mountbatten Windsor. Way too many names. Have you ever noticed Lee Harvey Oswald? There's always this weird thing with serial killers or bad people in history, or patsies for that matter, having three names. I've always noticed that. They're like, hey, watch out for that guy. He's got three names.
You and Mel Gibson in Conspiracy Theory.
Why, Mel Gibson has that?
No.
Oh, in the movie Conspiracy Theory?
He's got a whole thing about it.
About middle names?
That movie holds up, by the way.
It does.
If you haven't watched
a good movie.
Go check that out.
Yeah.
He's actually correct about pretty much everything that ended up happening.
So much has broken over the past 48 hours regarding Jeffrey Epstein, from Andrew Albert Christian Edward Mountbatten Windsor being arrested to Lex Wexner doing a closed-door testimony with the Oversight Committee in Ohio regarding his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. We have Howard Lutnik weirdly laughing about surviving 9/11 when President Trump is talking about Howard Lutnik and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And then there's evidence that there's reports that they're going to start doing forensic investigations into the Zorro Ranch, the New Mexico ranch that Jeffrey Epstein owned, where a lot of weird things happen, but we will dive into all of that and more before we jump into the stories. In the description, and we just created it this morning, we have an Unusual Suspects Connect circle. Now, this circle is free for you to join. You can join, jump in, chat with us off the air. You can send us topic ideas. You can send us guest suggestions. You can tell us what you like about the podcast. More importantly, you can tell us what you don't like about the podcast. Sometimes the feedback from the audience, usually on the internet, never really positive, but it does help us grow as a product. So make sure you, I believe there's going to be a lower third with a QR code here or here. Make sure that you take a photo of that or go to the link in the description. Join the Unusual Suspects Connect circle today and chat with all of the guys that you see here on the podcast, as well as other unusual people who enjoy this content. With that being said,
as much hate as we get sometimes, the chat on this show is always very active, and I know a lot of you guys love to talk to each other every single week. Everybody should be over in the next circle because you can take that conversation offline and have us in the mix as well for a change.
And we're not monetized. It's free. So we're not begging you for money. We're not asking you to pay anything.
We are, just not with this.
Yeah, we'll find another way to get that money. But right now, this is just an opportunity for us to engage in the audience, find out what you guys are enjoying about the show, what you guys aren't enjoying, and how we can improve it. So please click on the link below, scan the QR code here or here or here, I don't know, and join the Unusual Suspects Connect circle. Let's jump right in to the first story. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, we're going to put it in your forehead.
You're going to put them in that
the QR code.
Well, for a price, I would get it tattooed
right.
like right here. I don't know, because you can't have face tattoos working as the executive producer of Patrick Bet-David's podcast. Can you imagine a senator walks in? Hello, Lindsey Graham. Welcome to the podcast. And I got a face tat like Mike Tyson.
Maybe
Respect
maybe
people
he's into
automatically
it.
when
Well,
they
I
have
mean,
face tattoos. I love
Lindsey
face
Graham
tattoos.
probably has a barcode on the back of his neck for APAC guys to scan. So
Oh
I think it
Right to the
it
PayPal
tracks.
account. All right, let's jump right into the first topic. And the first topic today is Barack Obama's admission that aliens exist. Two presidents are talking aliens in the same week. One has dropped their real bombshell, while the other reportedly has a speech ready to drop at any time, announcing disclosure to the world. In an interview with progressive podcaster, is that a fair term for Brian Tyler Cohen? Progressive podcaster?
Yeah.
Is he one? I have not watched a lot of his content, but I do respect what he does just by the sheer amount of followers that he has on both YouTube and Spotify. You look at the Spotify rankings for political podcasting, he is one of the top 10 week in and week out. So I have respect for the hustle, but I've never watched his content. How would you describe him on the range of political commentators? Is this guy far left, middle left, center right?
I mean, I
center?
likewise have never really watched his show all that extensively. But you got to imagine, if this is a guy who can have Barack Obama come onto his podcast, he's got to be pretty aligned with the Democratic Party. Like, Obama does not do oppositional podcasts.
Out of everybody, who do you think is the least likely to do oppositional podcasts? Would it be, I guess at this point, Joe Biden? That guy's in hiding.
I mean, Biden's not doing any podcast.
we haven't seen him at all. I mean, he's not doing interviews. He's not doing public appearances.
I mean,
When was the last time
he
he
also
was
might
seen?
be dying of cancer, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that's kind of
According to some people, he
died.
died years ago, and they've replaced him with a clone.
According to the Epstein files, they thought that. Have you seen those?
No.
Oh,
Where there's
snap.
even references to the clone looked weird on TV today.
Is there anything that Epstein hasn't infected? At this point, he's like literally every single sector of life involves Epstein. We'll get to that later. Does he talk about aliens in the Epstein files?
Not that I've come across so far. but I wouldn't-
Guaranteed
I
it'll
wouldn't put it past
eventually.
him.
By the way, if you're wondering, this Brian Tyler Cohen guy is not gay.
But why are you gay? Why are you gay?
I wasn't wondering if he was gay. What made
don't
you
know.
look up whether or not he's a homosexual?
I'm going to say something. This is going to sound weird.
All right.
Okay, when you asked, have you ever watched the podcast? I hadn't watched it, and I was like, oh, progressive, left-leaning Cohen. I was like, is he gay?
it.
Thought legitimately came
I
to
bet a
my-
lot of members in the audience leave it on the circles. All right.
I had the thought, so when you brought it up, I was not surprised.
I was reading your mind.
Well, it turns out not a homosexual, but he is a progressive podcaster. Sat down with the former president of the United States of America, Barack Hussein Obama. My son called me racist for calling him that. He's like, Dad, you always have to be so racist. And I'm like, first of all, always, no.
Only on
Second of all, that's his name. Why am I the racist one for stating his? Is it racist to call Barack Obama Barack Hussein Obama?
I love it. I love how
By implication, I'm sure.
I love
but-
how Trump savors the Hussein. It's Barack Hussein Obama. You know,
Hussein.
Hussein.
It is. I guess it's racist because I yell it. Well, I'm like Barack Hussein
Hussein
Obama. So I guess that does make it bad. But Barack Obama on the podcast, they were doing a lightning round, quick answers to questions that Brian Tyler Cohen was asking him. He was asked about the existence of aliens, and here is what the former president of these United States had to say.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
So, Obama saying in that clip that they exist. He has not seen them. They are not kept at Area 51, but claims that they exist until days later, where he puts out the following Instagram post. I was trying to stick with the spirit of the speed round, but since it's gotten attention, let me clarify. Statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there. But the distances between solar systems are so great that the chances we've been visited by aliens is low. And I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us. Really, exclamation mark. I think what really sold me on it was the really Exclamation mark. That's how I know Obama means business.
It's like when Biden used to end all his statements with, that's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
Seriously.
Well, now Trump ends all of his with "Thank you for your attention to
I
this
love
matter!"
that.
Exclamation mark. It's great because Jesse Jackson dies. We'll put a post this long. This much of it will be trashing Barack Obama, and the bottom will be "Thank you for your attention to this
My
matter."
favorite ending of any type of
Let's
post.
stop making aliens boring. What a boring clarification. Like I can see one like a left-leaning like science guy reading this. Oh yeah, this is my president. Like, oh my God, what a guy. What it's just. And the other thing is that this is so meaningless. All right. Like first of all, the president doesn't know anything. That's a fact. He made it sound like, oh, maybe they're not telling me, but they don't tell them shit. Really.
Yeah.
Like
When do you think that started? Has
That
that
not-
always been the
Yes,
case where
of-
they just insulated the president from the most important information out
For
there?
sure,
I mean,
you have temporary power versus permanent institutions. They're not going to disclose information to the president that they feel that they should have control over. They're staying in whatever job they're doing, the people who have like a permanent position, 30, 40 years. They see the president as a temporary thing. Why would they disclose things about aliens to them?
And it certainly started sometime in the 50s and 60s when we had our post-war track of government created. Our post-World War II intelligence apparatus really came about. That's when we got the CIA and all the other three-letter agencies. And like Ilan was saying, when they are lifetime positions that these people will work for their entire career, you don't need a guy who's in and out every 4 to 8 years to know everything you have going on. You give him the briefing of, what a guy in his position needs to know, and then the rest you kind of hold back.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Let's be real. Yearly, there's $100 to $150 billion unaccounted for. All right, there's 2 big programs for black budgets that we don't know what they're doing with. Rob, $100 billion. There
I
are
prefer to call them African American budgets, but go ahead. I am politically correct.
they're unaccounted. There's $21 trillion that they haven't been able to explain until this day. I'm always gonna hold on to that. So. And he was very specific. He was like, there's no underground bases, all right? He didn't say underwater. He didn't say spaceships, So
It was a masterclass in political speak, assuming you aren't taking it at face value, because when he says, oh yeah, they're real, they're not at Area 51. Okay, that's how a politician would say, yeah, they're actually at Area 52, or they're at an undisclosed base that nobody knows the number of. Because then no one can ever say, hey, we found them and you lied about where they were. No, I just said they were never at Area 51. I never specified that they weren't somewhere else. Of course, now he's coming out a few days later and saying, it's just a statistical probability. I never was trying to say I've actually seen anything. Which, backing up for a second, if you're Brian Tyler Cohen and you're sitting there doing this podcast, okay, we have a scheduled lightning round. We're just going to ask the former president a bunch of questions. And you ask him if aliens are real, and he says yes. How do you not cancel the lightning round and ask some follow-up questions?
Just a single one. The next question was, what was the first thing you wanted to find out when you became president? He could have said the secrets of the universe and not aliens. Obama made that a follow-up question with his answer. Brian Tyler Cohen didn't, so I agree with you 100%. The first question, I go, okay, well, what do they look like? I know you haven't seen them. What have they said they look like? Do they look like the ones that we've always heard about? Tiny little gray figures with big eyes and big dome heads like the cone heads? Or are they just, do they look like you and I?
We live in a weird time where I feel, was that my phone?
No, that's me.
We live in a weird time where I feel like people don't care, though. Like, aliens could literally come down to Earth, and people would still be fighting over other dumb stuff.
I put that on Twitter. I wrote, here, go continue your thought, and I'll tell you what I tweeted.
I mean, there's just so much evidence. When the Pentagon released those videos and said, well, they got leaked, and then the Pentagon came out and said, no, these are real videos. And since then, there's been a lot of disclosure slowly trickling out. I keep talking to my friends about this, saying, hey, this is a big deal. Like, when I was a kid, if you told me aliens are real, I would have freaked out. Nowadays, people are like, well, I don't really care. What about this?
But do you think that's because it's been such a long, and this is what I think they're doing with the Epstein files, which this was my point on X when I saw the clip, the 15th, so what was that, Sunday, when the clip went out? that aliens were real, according to Obama. And I'm on X. If you're on X, follow me. Rob Show TV, ROBB, 2 B's for my B-cup breasts. Show TV, T for trans, V for vestite. Obama confirms aliens are real and no one cares. The Epstein files are not going anywhere. When it comes to children being abused, Americans will not be fatigued. We will hold them accountable. Every single pervert, pedo, and protector, your days are numbered. And then my mom so eloquently wrote, no one will be held accountable. You're asking for chicken hawks to turn itself in for killing the chicken. God will sort it out. So thank you, Mimi. But
That's
to the
amazing.
point, it feels like, you're right, my entire life, before I cared about the Epstein files, before I cared about 9/11, it was JFK, it was aliens,
Yes.
then it became 9/11, then it became COVID, then it became deep state, then it became Epstein. That was the trail for me. I feel like it's 79 years coming up on July, 6th? July 6th of this year will be 79 years since Roswell. I feel like we have been fatigued to the point where they could land tomorrow and we'd be like, well, cool. Then we'd move on.
I don't think it's fatigue. I think it's something much more disturbing, which is that we're inundated with so much bullshit that we no longer know what to care about or can care about any specific thing. And I think that's by design. I think we're numb to everything. I think a lot of people are numb to the Epstein files. A lot of people are numb to what happened during COVID. There's people who still hold on and care about specific things. You just don't have enough capacity in your body to care about all these things. I don't have enough energy in my body to care about aliens, Epstein, what happened during COVID. All these, every day there's a new flood of information that comes out and hits you. I really do believe it's to numb us to all the stuff going on so we can't care about any specific thing anymore.
What you were saying, imagine you being 9 and you have confirmed Air Force footage.
Yeah.
With the account of a trained pilot saying this is not us, this is not China, this is not Russia.
Multiple
of them with Senate hearings. Like, it would blow, I don't understand why people don't pay attention
Well,
to
they
it.
found the most boring way to do it. Because,
was very boring.
Because they're
very
expecting
boring.
when they finally disclose aliens, it's going to be, headlines. Every TV station's talking about it. It's going to be the most explosive, shocking thing you've ever seen in your life. Instead, it comes out in testimony on C-SPAN. And not even main C-SPAN, like one of the C-SPAN spin-off
C-SPAN
channels.
4.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
C-SPAN Espanol.
Unless you're watching some live broadcast of very dry, the most boring, uninteresting senators of all time. And when they finally put Anna Paulina Luna on some of those panels, it got a little bit more interesting because, they needed someone hot and interesting.
The erection factor.
Exactly.
It makes a big difference.
So people finally started paying attention when she got involved. But it was the most boring thing you'd ever seen in your life. I think I've told this story on the show before.
Can I just prove you're 100% right? I've never cared about Pilates in my entire life. I think Pilates are the most boring thing in the world. Then there's a very attractive gal here. I don't think it's no secret. Natalia started hosting a Pilates class. All of a sudden I went, I need to learn more about Pilates. How do I get a mat? Do I wear yoga pants? How does this work? So you're right. An attractive female gauges the male interest into any boring topic whatsoever.
Yeah, and who watches C-SPAN just in their free time? And then suddenly you hear the next day, hey, they disclosed aliens on C-SPAN. I've told the story on the show before. I was doing a small little podcast. We were all remote over Zoom because it was COVID time. I was sitting at my dining room table in the middle of a show, just trying to, talk about politics, the election or whatever. And my phone goes off and I see that there's a thing showing, was it Luis Elizondo? Might have been.
It's got to be Luis
at the
Elizondo.
Capitol talking about aliens. And it was right around the time they started doing those initial disclosures. And it was just, oh, and by the way, there's Congress says aliens are real now. Anyway, back to this 2020 election debate that we were discussing.
Yeah.
So useless, so much going on. We're locked in our homes. There's a virus that's allegedly killing everybody. The election was stolen, and there's aliens. Whatever. Back to it. Made a bigger fuss when my phone went off, and it said that Eddie Van Halen had died because it was a couple weeks after
Well, that was tragic.
That was tragic. But you'd expect that the existence of extraterrestrial life, the military confirming that they have craft of non-human origin on film,
And life forms, off-world life forms.
would be slightly more interesting to the general public than debating who won the 2020 election.
They should
But it
just
did make a
show.
splash.
They should just show pictures of super hot Latinas and say that those are the aliens that.
Yeah, I'm for that. Invade me.
All right, keep hitting your
Probe
computer.
me, aliens.
I'm going to turn this way more.
Well, for you, watching at home or on the road or in a spaceship in outer space, let's run a poll if we could, Connor. Do you care about aliens existing? Are we at the point where people just don't care anymore? What's interesting is I found this article back in January, at the end of the month, January 31st. This was an article in the Daily Mail. It was labeled, it was titled Trump Insiders. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Connor. Trump Insiders told me the president has a bombshell speech revealing decades of UFO secrets are ready to go. So this is 3 or 4 weeks ago that this news article came out. I didn't see anybody talking about the article, but according to the article, insiders claim Trump has a historic speech, and Humberto, this is going to hit on certain things that you just mentioned. Insiders claim Trump has a historic speech prepared confirming decades of UFO evidence, recovered off-world vehicles, non-human biologics.
Biologiques. It's French. It's a French word.
With forensic...
Rob went to the Candace Owens School of Pronunciation.
Yeah, biology. What is it?
Biologics.
Biologics.
I'm starting to get confused.
I know. Right now, my retardism is spreading. With forensic analysis establishing extraterrestrial origin. Here's what the speech covers. So according to this insider who heard from someone within the Trump administration, this speech is going to cover the 2004 USS Nimitz tic-tac-toe encounter video, the 2015 USS Roosevelt Go Fast and Gimbal videos, as well as the 1947 Roswell crash. Now, ufologist Mark Christopher Lee is the person who spoke to the Daily Mail, citing a Trump advisor. He says Trump has authority from world leaders for disclosure. The timing has shifted to July 8th of this year, which will mark the 79th anniversary of the Roswell crash. According to Lee, Trump will confirm that forensic analysis of recovered off-world vehicles and non-human, damn it, that word again, biologics has established their extraterrestrial origin. Then a clip comes out just yesterday. This is Pod Force One that's Miranda Devine, correct? She is the woman who wrote The Laptop from Hell, all about Hunter Biden's laptop and how that was covered up by the New York Post. Here she is talking with Laura Trump about the existence of aliens, and check out what Laura Trump had to say.
You think that he's about to make an announcement about UFOs? Because President Obama was just on a podcast talking about how he believes in UFOs and hinting that he saw something when he was president.
Well, I said this in my podcast too. What's funny is we've kind of asked my father-in-law about this because we're like, well, what do you know? Because Miranda, we all want to know about the UFOs, or we all want to know what's going on. And he played a little coy with us. And so that, of course, led us to believe, Eric and I were like, oh my gosh, if he won't even like fully tell us, maybe there's more to it. And then I have just heard kind of around that, I think he's actually said, I think my father-in-law's actually said it, that there is some speech that he has that I guess at the right time, and I don't know when the right time is, he's going to break out and talk about, and it has to do with maybe some sort of extraterrestrial life, so to speak.
So is that confirmation of the Daily Mail article? It sounds like it. If Trump is telling her and Eric Trump that there is a speech ready to go, they're just waiting for the right time to do it. Seems like that's verifying the reports from the Daily Mail that Trump insiders are leaking this information about this speech.
It just comes down to, again, what does Trump actually know about disclosure? Have you guys seen all those documentaries that come out that are like $20 every time you have to watch them? And they always let me down because they always have legit, super legit people from the government coming out and being interviewed and talking about how it's all real, everything is real, there's off-world vehicles, they're fighting for disclosure, but they can't talk about it at the moment. You just have to buy the next $20 DVD.
There was one with Marco Rubio just a few months ago,
yeah,
I think, and it didn't confirm anything.
But there was a lot of people confirming things. They just didn't prove anything.
The fact that they're all in it shows that everyone knows something, but then what they constantly set up, and it's even during the congressional testimonies where they say, oh, I can't tell you outside of a skiff, or we can take this offline for, not broadcast communications. What do you know that you can't say?
Yeah, that's what
and why does it constantly keep getting teased, but nobody can confirm it?
Can we what do you think they know?
I think there is. I legitimately think there are aliens. I can't see that footage.
Because the thing is, I don't really care. Like, if it's not intelligent life,
No, I think there's intelligent life that is coming here, whether it's I don't know if it's interdimensional. I also think that we're very, very naive in the sense that we believe we have figured out physics to the point where we know for sure that there isn't something that can travel in a completely different method than
I
we
agree
currently
with that.
So yeah, everyone's like, oh, it's just too far. Okay, and maybe they can bend space. Maybe they're fourth dimensional creatures. Maybe there's all types of stuff in quantum physics, I don't know, that can explain how there could be intelligent
That's what
life.
Obama was referencing, because he's talking about, based on the mathematical probability of the universe is big. It's essentially the Fermi paradox, if you're familiar with that. It's been around since the 1950s, where a guy who studied this kind of stuff said, there's billions of stars that are like the sun in the Milky Way. The probability of them having planets in the habitable zone is very high. Because those planets are probably going to be older than Earth, they might have intelligent life. Intelligent life would very probably try to explore space. If that's the case, why has there not been any contact? Why haven't we seen anybody? I believe his question was literally the same thing as Obama's. Where is everybody?
Yeah.
Where are the aliens? Why haven't we found them if there's, such a high probability? Which raises the question, either every advanced civilization in the universe wipes itself out before it goes interstellar, or humanity is alone in the universe. But the phenomenon is happening. Whether it's, Chinese super weapons, fourth dimensional beings, green men from Mars, like those videos are of something. So you can't deny that the phenomenon exists. So for them to constantly sit there and just downplay it as though that it's not something worthy of explanation, we're so far past that. It's not just, oh, we mistook a weather balloon on a scan anymore. Like, video from a plane, it's right there. We watched it do the thing you said no airborne craft could do. It defied physics. So like you were saying, our understanding of physics is clearly not complete if there are objects that can do this.
Sorry, go ahead.
Before we go ahead with what you want to say, and then I have 3 questions for you.
Okay, I just wanted to say that the things that we see on video defy our understanding of physics. The G-force the rate of acceleration, the G-force, would just destroy people. Additionally, like the other explanation to the Fermi paradox is there's the Great Wall explanation that everyone died. The other explanation that when you reach a certain point of intelligence, like we are now with AI, that it just destroys you and that's the end. The other explanation, though, is that intelligent life inherently likes to hide, and this is the scariest explanation of all, because they know that there is dangerous intelligent life out there. And so they don't want to be discovered, so they are hiding themselves from the rest of the universe, and that it is abundant, it's just also very dangerous. So that's just another explanation for the Fermi paradox.
Before we move on to the Kurt Cobain suicide investigation, I have 3 questions for you guys. I'd like to go around. The first question, if UFOs just appeared in the skies, like what you saw on Independence Day, or there was a movie with, was it Amy Adams, Arrival?
Great movie.
Fantastic movie.
Incredible.
So what happens, play this out. That happens. One day we all wake up and there are just objects in the sky that we can't explain. Our government doesn't know what to tell us. How does that play out? Does civilization stop? You wake up, there's a spaceship. You going to work? I mean, I got to come to work because we're doing podcasts.
Yeah.
But
I guarantee you, Patrick would have you trying to get the aliens on the podcast.
yes, Tony,
the next
can you
day.
book the aliens? We need a zoo. They have to be in Fort Lauderdale today. No, but does the rest of civilization stop? Sure, there are going to be certain industries that are going to have to operate. But like my wife's medical billing company, is she going to be working if aliens are? So to you guys, does society stop if we look to the skies one day and there are aliens above? Elon first.
I don't think society stops, unfortunately. I think people would just, again, even to that extent, I think some degree, people would be like, all right, I still got to go to work. I still got to do what I'm doing until there's like some kind of massive explosions coming down from them attacking us. Or they just come down and they solve all our problems. But until then, I think people won't care until it directly impacts them.
Humberto.
That is the reason. I think my personal belief is that is the reason they're hiding all the things, because the long-term implications. I don't think the first day, I think people still gonna. Have any of you guys been to a war zone ever?
I can't say that I have.
Like,
Yes.
because people think that war zone, like a war-torn country, is like very binary. It's either full war, everyone's fighting with helmets, but people still go to the market.
Yeah.
You know, people still go to the supermarket. So I think it's going to be hybrid, but I think on the midterms, we will see, because the implications of this, Rob, all right? This destroys all our physics theories. It destroys all economical theories. It destroys our population theories. It might take a hit at religion. It might take a hit at the philosophical and societal implications of this. I don't think the first day, but within the first 3 months, a lot of people are going to be like, what am I doing? Why am I working in a medical billing company?
Connor, do you believe society continues to operate as normal if aliens end up showing up?
Depending on the kind of arrival, long term, maybe. Short term, there's certainly panic. Like if I wake up and there are like a fleet of alien spacecraft hovering above the city, I'm not coming to work. I'm going to church.
Yeah, or going underground.
Yeah, I'm grabbing my wife and kid and being like, what do we have to do to not get killed by these things immediately? Like short term, maybe if they just sit there, if they're friendly, if they're in communication, maybe I'll come to work like a week later. But
this is embarrassing.
The scale it blows
take a week
everything up.
vacation.
Yeah,
this is embarrassing to admit, but maybe 2 years ago, there was rumors that there were going to be disclosure, that they were going to come forth and tell us aliens existed. And the first thing I did was I re-signed up for BJ's Wholesale Club. And I went and I stocked up with food, water. It's still in my garage. I'm pretty sure the food is expired now, but mine was, how am I going to eat? So my priority wasn't guns or God it was, I'm going to need to snack while the aliens are invading. Do we have granola bars, Caitlin? Where are the granola bars?
this would be a great ad spot for My Patriot Supply.
All right.
They don't sponsor us though, so
Well, they could if you want to. Second question, and Humberto, you touched on this. The second question I have for you guys: aliens are real; their existence is real. What does this mean for religion? How does this affect the idea that God created man and the universe? Are aliens part of God's creation? Are aliens God? What happens to religion? You guys are way more well versed in this than I. What happens to religion if it turns out aliens are real?
I mean, I think that's a serious question to grapple with, and I can only answer from the Christian perspective, obviously. But, like, from my perspective, I don't view aliens or the phenomenon that is recorded in these videos and everything as visitors from another planet. It's not intelligent life forms coming to us from another galaxy to either conquer us or save us from nuclear war or something. I don't believe it's that. It's not like a human equivalent civilization on another planet built spaceships and traveled here. I think it's more interdimensional, and the phenomenon of things we're seeing are these beings are essentially the same phenomenon as demons. Like the thing we have described as demons and aliens are one and the same throughout history. Like I don't believe there's other intelligent life in the universe. We're alone in the universe, but we're not alone on Earth. Everything we're seeing is things that have always been here. Things that are vested or have a vested interest in monitoring humanity and interacting with us in various forms to deceive and abduct people. I think that happens way more frequently than we've been led to believe, and I think they have evidence of it. But I don't think it's little green men from another planet coming to visit us. I think it's a more higher dimensional problem.
So interesting that he said that there's this mini series that's based off of Isaac Asimov's stories called Childhood's End, and the aliens that come look like demons, and they come looking like actual Satan, like demons, and they end up ushering in an era of peace for mankind, an era of like revolution and longevity and no more disease, no more war. And what it is the reason that they look like demons is because in the human psyche, there is some subconscious understanding that they will bring our end. And what they are doing is bringing in a new wave of evolution that leads mankind to essentially ascend into the universe and join this kind of conscious thing in the universe. I do believe that there are aliens physically in the universe, most likely. As you look at things like Tabby's star, they found this star, and one of the ways that we believe we would discover ancient alien life that's super technologically advanced in the universe is what's it called again? It's a type of thing around the star that essentially
Orbit?
No, it has a name and I'm forgetting it right now. It's a type of megastructure around a star that pretty much absorbs the energy from the star for infinite energy, and that this is where ancient civilizations would gather a Dyson sphere. That's what it's called. And that was one of the things that scientists actually looked at in the universe to say, if there's dips in the way that we see light coming from a star that doesn't make sense, right? That it dips too much, and then it comes back, dips too much. That would mean there's some kind of structure around the star. They found one. It's called Tabby's star, and they really believe it might be a Dyson sphere. So I do believe there's probably ancient life out there. Does it affect religion? I don't know. If they look exactly like us, that would be pretty interesting, because, you know, the whole concept of God creating us in his image, those are things that I don't have an answer for. Well above my pay grade when it comes to faith. And then faith is, you know, so personal that it would be weird.
For you guys, that's the beautiful thing about being a Catholic. Okay. You know, it's not personal. They thought about it. They wrote about it a lot. All right. So, like, the main top level answer that a Catholic will give you is like, of course, God's creation is way bigger than we thought. All right. That's the top level answer.
Right. Yeah.
And then, like, the thing is, if you go to Genesis, he doesn't name because the thing is, I'm not talking down on some of your people, Connor, but some of them take
What are your people?
Protestants in general.
The non-Catholics, the evildoers.
White Jamaicans? I'm confused.
The Goyim.
They take Genesis seriously, all right? They take Genesis seriously, so they think like it's literally what happened on Earth.
Some people hang on every word from Genesis, but honestly, I don't even think Phil Collins is that good of a drummer.
Okay. What was your final point?
No, my final point is we survived Darwinism, all right? We got through it with the Catholic Church. We survived quantum physics. We got through it with the Catholic Church. Like, we survived every big science revelation, and we're still relevant. You know what I mean? Because our faith doesn't hinge on like the literal interpretation of the Bible on Earth. You know, we don't believe in young Earth. You know what I mean? Some people will stick to their guns. It's like, they're teaching the kids about the Big Bang. We also survived that too. So I don't think it changes everything. There's some interesting writings because the Catholic Church, it's about the Bible and people thinking about the Bible. So they said a lot of like written on the topic, and there's some interesting ideas that the aliens are intelligent. They might never fall into sin.
Oh, okay.
All right. So they're not a fallen society as the humans fell to sin. And
But that kind of disrupts the concept of Christianity a little bit also, no? That if Christ is here to forgive us for sin.
to forgive all humans from sin.
So if there was an alien race that fell into sin, are you saying there would have to also be alien Christ that went and died for them, or are they just outside
His
of
name is Jesus.
redemption?
Alien Christ is Jesus.
I don't know. Like, there's some weird teachings, but the official Catholic stand is like, of course, God's creation is bigger than we know.
Can I tell you guys something that'll blow your minds? I'm trying to get through it super quick. Okay, so there's this thing they discovered, and this goes against heliocentrism versus geocentrism. So people who our common sense of understanding of the universe is that we are not the center of the universe, that Earth holds no special directionality in the universe, that we're just a planet amongst many. Geocentrism used to be the idea that Earth is special in the universe, that things revolve around us. Most of science obviously discredits that theory, but there's this thing called the axis of evil that scientists discovered that till today pisses them off and they just ignore it. So they found years ago cosmic background radiation. If you believe in the Big Bang, this makes sense. It's everywhere. It's by the TV. It's if you're outside walking around. Wherever you go, there was cosmic background radiation. It was discovered just accidentally. And that's, by the way, why you have static on your TV. Some of that is, in fact, cosmic background radiation. So what they
That is nuts.
Yeah, so it proves that there is in the original starting of the universe, it was opaque because it was so hot that light couldn't travel, radiation couldn't travel, and as it cooled over 500 million years or so, the light it got colder, so the light could escape, and it was no longer this opaque substance, and it started spreading with the universe. And so what you would have is a globally expanding universe. And then you would have cosmic background radiation uniformly expanding throughout it. So there's this scientist who decided to measure the directionality of the cosmic background radiation. And when he got essentially technology that was good enough to measure it more accurately, what he discovered is there was a flow, a directionality to cosmic background radiation, meaning that the Big Bang actually has radiation that has a directionality to it. You find pockets where it was a little cooler. He compared it to the axis of the Earth around the sun. He created these things called poles, quadrupoles, bipoles, where he created these maps that look at the directionality of the cosmic background radiation, look at the map of our Earth and the axis around the sun of our Milky Way. And he found that the axis of the Earth and the way it moves around the sun directly overlaps cosmic background radiation that had directionality, which is in contradiction to all of modern-day science, and that it does, in fact, hold a special directionality in the universe, that the Earth holds some kind of consistent directionality with the cosmic background radiation. No scientists believe this. They said it was noise. Just recently, about 10 years ago, they came out with much better satellites. There's a Planck satellite. They went up. They thought it would disprove his theory. They remeasured the cosmic background radiation compared to the poles of the Earth. And again, it lined up perfectly and proved his theory true. Till today, scientists just go, we don't really have an explanation for it. It must be the technology. They've tested it 20 times, keeps coming back the same, meaning that the Earth, first of all, there shouldn't be a directionality after the Big Bang. That's weird. And then the fact that the Earth lines up perfectly with it is super, super weird and points to a geocentric universe in some weird way, that we have a preferred position in the universe. I hope that made sense.
It absolutely did. And I would tend to agree in the sense that they've also done the experiments about how observation affects the behavior of certain particles. In leading people to speculate that being able to observe things is sort of how you construct reality. They've with the slit test and everything.
Yeah.
It's a whole big rabbit hole to go down. But basically, if there is no intelligent life anywhere else in the universe, and Earth is the only place where there are organisms capable of observing things, for all practical purposes, Earth is the center of the universe because our observation is what is forming the universe around us. So it's definitely something to consider. Like we said, there would be a lot of challenges that arise to religion, philosophy, science, whatever, if aliens showed up, but it wouldn't violate it because we have these principles that have been leading us to these conclusions for a very long time anyway.
Okay.
So,
Final question for everybody. Best alien movie. Humberto.
Sheesh. I'm gonna have to go with Independence Day.
Independence Day. Connor.
I mean, we talked about Arrival. Arrival was fantastic, but District 9 is a
Oh, wow.
a real banger.
It's a
Okay.
great movie.
It doesn't get a lot of attention, but
For me, Arrival is my favorite.
I have not seen it yet, but I'll tell you this one. Do you have Disclosure, the trailer?
I don't know if we can play the
Okay,
trailer
yeah.
with copyright
It is the
stuff.
coolest trailer for a movie I've ever
Oh,
seen.
yes.
I have such high hopes, which only means I'm going to be disappointed. But Steven Spielberg has a movie coming out later this year. I believe it's called Disclosure Day.
Yep.
And literally in the teaser trailer for the movie, is it Emily Blunt?
Yeah.
She's a newscaster who all of a sudden starts slipping into her alien talk, and that is how they disclose to the world that aliens exist. I'm so excited for that movie, but second is E.T. E.T. is a classic. All right, let's move on to Kurt Cobain. The death of Kurt Cobain. 32 years later, forensic experts have concluded that Kurt Cobain's 1997 death was not, in fact, a suicide, but a homicide. And now a retired Seattle Police Department captain who audited the case calls the original investigation botched and is now pushing for police to reopen the murder. I think all of us are old enough to remember Kurt Cobain's death.
What?
Do you remember where
he died in 97?
94.
94?
Why do 97 was when the guy El Duce
Okay.
died. I'm sorry, 1994.
Yeah.
I guess I'm too young to remember. I was only 8 when Kurt Cobain died.
I was not alive.
What year were you born?
97.
Oh, by the way, today's Connor's birthday, everybody. Happy birthday to Connor.
I was
you.
gonna
Happy
say
birthday,
that
Connor.
this episode is a psyop. It got moved because of Connor's birthday. We all
I
know
wanted
this.
to do it Tuesday.
We know
We
this.
told the
psyop.
audience Tuesday.
Well, if you love Connor and what he does on the channel, then make sure that you connect with him on Minect. In fact, there's a lower third that should be playing right now. And you can scan this QR code, but also Connor's link to his Minect as well as his Substack or in the description. So if you love Connor and what he does, he puts together this show, then make sure you show him some love on his birthday. Go connect with him and go
Much
subscribe
appreciated.
to his Substack. So a team of independent forensic scientists have spent a few days, 3 days, examining Cobain's autopsy and concluded in a peer-reviewed document that his death was a homicide. Allegations include that Cobain was forced to take a massive dose of heroin before being shot, and that his 2 suicide notes used different handwriting styles. So that is the suicide note. For some reason, I remember it. Like, this was when I was in high school. This is what we would get stoned under Frank Roller's mom's porch and then go and talk about in his bedroom. Was Kurt Cobain's death. Like, this was I'm old. 2002. So the internet was like available and you could find stuff like this, but it was always you'd have to go to weird websites to find it. But I remember for the first time seeing the Kurt Cobain suicide note and looking at it and thinking that it was odd because it seemed like the handwriting was going one way for a portion of it and then it was going a different way, which you can kind of see. It's slanting down towards the top and then starts to slant up a little bit towards the right at the bottom. I've never actually read the entire suicide note. Has anybody here ever read Kurt Cobain's suicide note?
Oh, I thought if you ever written a suicide note. No, I'm joking.
Who writes multiple
we should have joked
versions
about
of
that.
No, so I've read most of it now, having gotten ready for this segment. But honestly, being born so long after, or not so long, but years after he died, I never grew up listening to Nirvana because my dad hated grunge. I was just always kind of accepted it. Like,
That's
okay,
what it is.
a guy took a bunch of heroin and then shot himself in the face. Now it's very elaborate to pull a shotgun with your toes to blow your entire head off, but you could see why someone on heroin who was depressed might do that. But now the details they pointed out, like, it really does seem like that's not what happened.
Yeah, the actual details, heroin 3 times the lethal dose in his system, unusually clean hands inconsistent with self-inflicted gunshot blasts, blood spray patterns not matching forceful impact, missing notes and DNA collection, a premature suicide declaration before full confirmation, scene contamination with too many officers, and lack of homicide protocols. Now, when you actually look at, I remember the photo of Kurt Cobain, his body, not like the face. I've never seen the head wound or the headshot, but I remember seeing photos of him with one of his shoes on.
Well, this is a picture of his hands that kind of show, like, there's no blood splatter on them extensively.
Well, so the reports were that he doped himself up with heroin, then took the shotgun, put the shotgun in his mouth, then used his feet to pull the trigger because the barrel of the shotgun was too long
far
for him
away.
to go like this. But then he was filmed, from the photographs I've seen, there's one photograph of him with a shoe on. I don't know about the other foot. So it could be possible that the other shoe he used, would you be able to pull the trigger of a shotgun if you didn't remove your feet from your shoes? You would have to have the actual toe to be able to bend. Okay. That is his his heroin kit?
All the caps are back on the needles. Like, the needles were used to inject heroin, and then the caps were placed back on. And they're all the way across the room, according
All
to
right.
this
Can I state the obvious before we go further into the conversation? He was a severe heroin addict.
Correct.
Right? All right.
Had just been in rehab. I believe he broke out of rehab in another country and then came back to the United States just weeks before his
He had a history of documented depression.
Yes.
Yeah, listen to his songs. Yeah, that clearly documented.
He had prior suicide attempts.
Yep.
Well, if you were married to Courtney Love,
And then
during that time, you
he
would have
had
tried
public statements of intent of ending his life. All right. So just as background content, because we get into this. I don't know if you guys ever watched the video. You know Brandon Herrera, the gun guy.
Yeah.
He made the most savage breakdown of this. It's absolutely, like, I don't know if you can pull up the intro. It's savage. But the ballistics of the whole situation, they don't line up.
They don't line up to suicide.
They don't line up to suicide.
Well, and that
According to Brandon Herrera, who's an expert.
So the heroin isn't so surprising because he was taking such huge amounts of heroin daily that his tolerance would have gone up tremendously over that time to be able to survive maybe 3 times a dose. That to me seems possible. The ballistics does seem very weird. Like, how do you not get blood splatter all over your body when a shotgun goes off in your mouth?
Yeah. So this is Brandon Herrera testing the Kurt Cobain shotgun theory. We're not going to watch the whole video because it's 14 minutes, but go check this out. I've never heard of this, but I'll definitely be watching. But you see, this is the shotgun. The barrel on that is really long.
Yeah, you'd have to be, and I don't know anything about guns, but you'd have to be pretty tall for this to make sense, right? Like, how tall was Kurt Cobain?
He wasn't tall.
He seemed like a
5'9",
tiny little
I think.
fidget.
Yeah.
He was 5'9", so that's bigger than me. So I'm a fidget compared to him. Okay.
Well, hold on. Before we continue,
yeah,
this is always the thing that people throw out when you're talking about Nirvana, so you have to prove that you're actually qualified to talk about this. Name one Nirvana song that isn't Smells Like Teen Spirit, Go.
Heart in a Box. Hello, everyone. Hi.
What's going on, brother?
How's it going?
We got a whole thing going on right here.
Guys, we just wondered how you doing, man.
Good to see you.
My friend Pat was just outside and he heard you guys were doing a show. And we just,
Kurt
It's
Cobain
so random.
suicide.
Wait, oh yeah, suicide. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about Kurt Cobain suicide.
okay.
It's a good.
Well, we just challenged everybody to name one Nirvana song that isn't "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Let's go, Vinny.
Oh,
Nirvana or Metallica? That's
Nirvana.
A good question, actually.
No, Nirvana. Yeah, Kurt Cobain.
No, that's Pearl Jam.
Another song by Nirvana? No, you're also stuck.
That's weird because I grew up. I mean, I have trouble.
Heart-shaped box. I know that one.
Something in the way. Lithium.
wait, are you
Man,
guys,
Connor
are you
knows-
guys live right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
On the internet.
Oh. Sorry, guys.
Well, thank you for coming by.
Good to see you, everybody.
I just want to say hi. Sorry.
To your point, so when it comes to the actual, well, when you actually start looking into his relationship with Courtney Love,
Now we got Tom.
We're getting Tom in here.
Apologize for all of that.
And as a thanks for that, Tom, everybody go check out Number Scream over on the main Valuetainment channel. Tom is fantastic over there.
And we have another
Doing some
surprise for
quality
Tom. We're gonna see you next week, right, Tom?
thank you. When it comes to the actual suicide of Kurt Cobain,
I was about to answer that. I was about to say.
go
I
ahead.
was about
well,
to say.
yeah, you have a computer in front of
No,
you.
I was about to say rape me. All right. Thank God I got stopped.
Yeah. Good timing on that. That's really like, what's the name?
The King County's medical examiner's office has stated that their initial ruling of Cobain's death is in fact a suicide, and they're not going to change the investigation. But when you actually look at the paper trail of who could have benefited, okay, say Kurt Cobain was murdered, who could have possibly benefited from this crime? Courtney Love. Do you know that Courtney Love, because she was married to Kurt Cobain at the time of his death, she got the royalties to Nirvana's music catalog, reportedly worth somewhere in the range of $150 million after his death, which she then sold about a decade ago for a total of $50 million. So right there, you have 50 million reasons why someone may want Kurt Cobain dead. The question is Kurt Cobain worth more alive than he was dead? But there have been reports for decades, because this has gone back almost 30 years now, 31 years, that Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain were on the verge of suicide before Kurt Cobain's death. So I'm not saying that Courtney Love did this by any means, but if you look at who had a reason for Kurt Cobain not to be around, it certainly would look like the woman who's married to him, who might become his ex-wife and get written out of any will. She would have reasons to not want him around.
Suicide instead of divorce.
What's that?
Divorce.
You said they were on the verge of suicide.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're on the verge of divorce, splitting up.
You know, it's an interesting take, though. It could be, by the way, just a weird angle that he asked her to do it. And then that is a possibility, too. Maybe he was suicidal, couldn't do it to himself. And then he asked her and he said, can you do this to me? And she'll benefit tremendously from it. Something to throw out there.
That's not insane.
I
mean,
suspect
it's crazy.
Dave Grohl.
Well, I mean, his career
he gained the most.
Immediately took off. You know, Kristen Novoselic is now like a city councilman in Washington.
You ever notice how Dave Grohl looks just like the guy from Foo Fighters?
Okay. Yes. Now look.
Poor Dave Grohl.
Is this this is Eldon Wayne Hoke. He's known as El Duce. Now, this is a guy who was involved in, not involved in the murder, but he claims that he was approached about 8 months before Kurt Cobain's death and was given a payment of $50,000 by Courtney Love in order to kill Kurt Cobain. In fact, there's a video. This video is part of a documentary that ended up coming out in 1998. However, El Duce was dead by then. El Duce died after he was hit by a train shortly after he made the claims in the documentary, but before the documentary was released, where he says that Courtney Love offered him $50,000 to kill Kurt Cobain. Can we play the video? Oh, for me, that's a scary look into the future. There is not much distinguishing that guy from me.
I mean,
like that is
We're
me.
calling you El Duce from now on.
Yeah, literally, that's me if I don't work here, living in a trailer park. And probably that guy's living in the shed in the trailer park, not even living in the trailer home.
not for
himself.
nothing, but that guy looks exactly like the kind of guy who would be killed by being hit by a train.
Yeah.
That's true.
So like it's hard to be suspicious of it
Looks
when
like a train crosser.
Yeah.
You know?
Like,
train track
first of all,
crosser.
it's so easy to avoid being hit by a train because 100% of train collision deaths happen when you are on the tracks. So don't go on the tracks.
Apparently not here, because we have like a serial killer train called the Bright Line, which that thing takes out a person a week. It's usually a car or unfortunately a homeless person that wanders.
That's a form of human sacrifice to block hurricanes. You haven't heard that theory?
No.
Oh, so like the entirety of the Tampa.
Wait a minute, I've never heard that theory
So
before.
the entire Tampa area is built on an Indian burial ground, and that's over on the west coast of Florida.
Yeah.
And they believe that desecration is what constantly summons hurricanes from Africa. So they built the Bright Line up the east coast to block all the hurricanes from actually coming to Florida. It doesn't work, but we keep offering them every now and again.
That is a very interesting theory that I had never heard before.
Oh, now there goes your evening. You're going to have to figure it out.
Now, when it comes to the actual suicide of Kurt Cobain, according to, there was an article here, yes, the Seattle Police Department. This came out yesterday, actually. Fox 13 in Seattle, following headline, Seattle police won't reopen Kurt Cobain's death. The case remains closed. According to authorities, this is Detective Mike Sinetsky. He is with the Seattle Police Department. He said the investigation is sound. Conspiracies regarding Kurt Cobain's death are disinformation. It's a suicide. This is a closed case. Sometimes people believe what they read. Some of the disinformation from some of the books that, well, what a terrible statement. Sometimes people believe what they read. Some of the disinformation from some of the books that this was a conspiracy. That's completely inaccurate. So, do you believe Kurt Cobain was in fact murdered? If so, who had reasons to want him dead? And will we see an investigation reopened even though the Seattle Police Department is saying it's closed? Elon?
There's no chance they're going to reopen it. There's no new actual evidence presented, which really stops it from being reopened. This is just a rehashing of old evidence. I do think, based on what I'm seeing, the ballistics and all that stuff, I do think someone else did it. You know, there's no way to explain what we're seeing, so yeah.
Who about you? Humberto?
I mean, I don't... Kurt Cobain.
Are you reading the suicide note? Is that what you have pulled up there?
It's not the suicide note.
Okay.
It's a book I want to recommend. They published all these diaries. It's called the Kurt Cobain Journals, all right? I read it as a teenager. I was always in a band. If you were in a band, you played one or two Nirvana songs. He was a beautiful soul.
That's true. That's the first song I ever learned to play on drums was Smells Like Teen Spirit. So you're right. That was the very first song I ever learned.
Kurt Cobain was a beautiful, conflicted soul, a full-range artist. If you read his thoughts, very conflicted. His art, you know, if you see the journals, I will recommend anyone that is a fan to buy the journals book. It has all his doodles and everything. And it's just sad. Like it's terrible when someone commits suicide, and it's terrible if he got murdered. But he got taken away from us very young, and that's a big tragedy because he had a lot of people that loved him, and he was the head of a movement. You know, even though your dad didn't like it, Connor, and that explains a lot about you.
What, that I grew up in a household that hated
grunge? That you grew up in a house that they hated grunge.
No, it was just because my dad was a fan of 80s hair bands, hair metal, and, you know, saw rightly that the rise of grunge kind of killed classic rock genre.
Yeah, it came to disrupt that, but I love that hey that they do on grunge. It's my favorite thing. So it's sad, and I think there's a chance that he could have been murdered.
Your dad preferred hair metal over grunge.
Yeah.
So Twisted Sister over Nirvana.
I think it's an occupation.
Poison over... Well, the Foo Fighters came later. Poison over Pearl Jam?
Yes.
Wow. I thought the 80s and rock, the hair metal phase of rock was the worst decade until today. Like, if you rank decades of rock music, I think 60s, best. Mid-2000s weren't bad. You had some good rock bands.
See, I was never exposed to that for a very long time just because I was listening to what my dad listened to.
But the
so I grew up listening to, like, Van Halen and Def Leppard. And, like...
But that's not hair metal. Well, is that hair metal?
No, I don't know what that's classified as, but that's
the thing is...
The broader classic rock genre, but everybody was, like, British rock bands with really elaborate hairdos and tight leather pants. Like... that was the whole kind of vibe there, and grunge was really a direct response to that. So I didn't listen to much of it until I grew up.
That's the thing I love about people like Kurt Cobain the most. That they had something inside of them they had to say and get out there.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I need to say this or I need to express this and then figure out the instruments as second thought. Glam rock and those 80s rock, it was the complete, complete opposite. Like, I have a really tasty guitar riff. You know?
No substance in lyrics behind
whatsoever.
it.
Yeah. And across all genres. I can listen to anything from gangster hip-hop to, drum and bass and grunge and metal and death metal. I love people that write first, they have something to say, and then they put music to it. And
that said, I will give a huge shout out to my dad that now in his 60s, he's learning to play guitar for the first time. And he actually just learned a couple Green Day songs. So he's evolving.
Power chords. They're all power chords, Green Day.
But it is cool. My son is learning guitar. His birthday present was an original Tom DeLonge Fender guitar. Very expensive. But if it's his birthday falls right around Christmas, so I went all out for him. It's really great to hear him playing actual songs. Like, I can sit in our living room and I can hear him learning songs and I can guess which songs he's playing because he's gotten so good that he's playing them all the way through. He'll play Blink-182 songs. He'll play Foo Fighters songs. What's interesting is that Kurt Cobain's death, though, it really brought in a terrible age of rock and roll because then you went to the Matchbox 20s of the world. That led to the Third Eye Blinds of the world, the Chumbawambas of the world, and the Bare Naked Ladies of the world. Yeah. So if anything, it did kill the hair movement of rock and roll, but then it ushered in that wussy rock that we had from like the 90s to late 90s to early 2000s.
Now, do you guys remember Silverchair?
I do. No. I don't remember a song, but
like he was touted as like the next Kurt Cobain, and it never happened for him. But
the only people that are still around from then, Alice in Chains are done, right? They still tour, but they don't make music. Pearl Jam's the only band that I know that's still around from the grunge rock movement. Connor, did Kurt Cobain kill himself, or do you believe he was killed?
I find the evidence in this report compelling enough to warrant a further look. I have done so little research into Kurt Cobain outside of doing this segment that I couldn't definitively say. Like Humberto pointed out, the depression, the heavy drug use, like all of that tracks with somebody who would do this. But there's certainly evidence to consider, so I'm not ready to make a declaration on it one way or the other.
Okay,
I think the report is compelling.
I take my answer back.
Okay,
ballistics don't lie, Humberto. You're going to suicide. I can tell. Ballistics don't lie.
100%. The thing is that nobody, and I remember I had an aunt that it was like she was on her like 20s, like 1920. And when Kurt Cobain died, she couldn't believe it. Like, so many people didn't want Kurt Cobain to die there that some people, he didn't want him to die at all. Some people will go above and beyond to find other answers because it was too tragic. I don't know if you guys remember that day, but I was a baby, but I remember it was tragic.
Well, and
I was 12.
It led to other suicides across the country. I don't know what the number was, but I remember reading somewhere around a dozen, I think, of copycat suicides after Kurt Cobain's death. So before we move on to the final topic, and I'll let you guys decide what the final topic is going to be. Is it going to be Nixon or is it going to be Epstein? There is this interesting clip of Kurt Cobain talking about it was a specific individual, a woman. Do you remember do you know the context behind the clip?
It's a documentary they did in Seattle, but I can't find who he was talking about.
But he talks about there being a woman that was sexually abused over and over and over again by not just hospital staff, but also powerful people. Can we play this clip real quick? This is Kurt Cobain before his death talking about sexual assault of children.
She was kind of a foul-mouthed person, and she hated the whole Hollywood scene, and she expressed her hatred for them publicly, and so, and she also, when she was I think she was 15, she entered this essay contest when she was living here in Seattle, entitled "God is Dead," and a lot of people accused her of being a communist. And then she went to New York and was a part of this acting troupe. And so it supposedly had communist ties too, and so then there's this big conspiracy amongst a judge, a very well-known, prominent judge here in Seattle, and a bunch of other people who had ties with Hollywood, and they basically just set her up and ruined her life. They had some pictures taken of her when she was arrested for drunk driving, and It was a big, huge scandal, and she eventually was sent to a mental institution and given a lobotomy and raped every day for years, and just totally abused, and ended up like working at a Four Seasons restaurant alone and dying by herself.
There's a Bainbridge Island. That's where she was institutionalized, right over there.
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole broken down like infirmary there.
For years, every night there were lines of custodians, friends, and people, part of the staff who would wait in line to rape her every day. She went through a lot of shit. And it just disgusts me, to know that there are some of the people that are part of that conspiracy are living here in Seattle in their comfortable, cushy little homes with their families. And, it's 20, 40 years after the fact, and it's just
Is it just God,
makes me
not a
want to
fair
kill
one?
him. Yeah.
That's what the Christians say. God, why was there Auschwitz? Well,
That is from 1993. Kurt Cobain is describing the life and alleged abuse of actress Frances Farmer, who he admired greatly, even named his daughter Frances Bean after her, and wrote the song from Nirvana, Frances Farmer Will Have Her Revenge on Seattle. The story is about, as you could tell, her being institutionalized and raped. The internet is now, because of the Epstein files, that clip has been recirculating on X, saying that Kurt Cobain was silenced because he was exposing the abuse of child rape. I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I think there are other people who had reasons, again, 50 million of them at a minimum, to see Kurt Cobain no longer around. But
it certainly shows that he had awareness of, like, this isn't Epstein related, but it was, a bunch of people pulled off a horrific sexual abuse of a woman and now live comfortable lives in society around us. Like, that was probably one of the things that motivated the messages he put into his music and other things like that. If he was inspired enough by her to name his daughter after.
This was endemic in Hollywood in the 80s and 90s. You look at even when Corey Feldman and Corey Haim started speaking. Corey Haim, I don't know if people remember him. He was so popular in the 80s.
Yeah.
I actually knew him. He lived in my neighborhood when I was younger. And it's like, this was a kid who was like the most happy kid in the world, who suddenly, when he got famous, shifted to being heavy drug use, depressed, overnight.
wait, so you knew him before he was famous and before the
He
two
lived in my
Corys?
neighborhood in Montreal. I lived in Montreal when I was younger, and he was like same friends, same groups. Like, he was known in my neighborhood. It's like blowing up because he blew up very young. But he'd come back, and he still had his house there and everything. And you could see that there was definitely an event that took place that completely destroyed his psyche, that he never recovered from, that got him into like drug abuse and all this stuff. And again, in the 80s, in Hollywood and in the 90s, nobody talked about this stuff. There was no outlet. This was going on like crazy. The parties, you look at a lot of the kids child stars from the 80s who were brought up, they were brought to all these parties with all these totally screwed up people when they were like 12 years old. They're going to these parties at 12. And back then, there was no cameras to really monitor what's going on. There was no way to spread the information. They were given drugs. They were obviously taken advantage of. And a lot of them were, unfortunately, I believe, abused and raped. And I think that was like a big part, just like the Epstein file. Anytime you find positions of power, you find abuse of children. And it's just a weird correlation. But that was endemic, I'm 100% certain, in Hollywood. And even in the weird cult I was in, you started seeing, sexual assault taking place after a while, and the branding women and all this psychologically weird stuff. It just is a natural progression of how power expresses itself at some point in the most disgusting, vile way. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at certain people who have gone on from the Nickelodeon and Disney of world. Like, I feel bad for Ariana Grande because I know she was dating that Mac Miller guy and he passed away from an overdose. And I know that that has very bad effects on someone to lose someone like that. But you look at her, she looks frail, looks scary looking, to the point where you're like, can somebody give this chick a chicken nugget? She looks like she's going to pass out. You look at Amanda Bynes and I feel horrific. Amanda Bynes used to be very, very attractive when she was on that show with Jenny Garth. It was like Two Sisters
Beautiful
or something.
Yep.
And now you look at her today and it's like, what broke you? I feel bad. Like, I hurt for you. How can somebody help you? So it's nothing that's uncommon. It's just something that no one talked about until recently.
Yeah.
Oh, Britney Spears. They locked her up, took her money away, put her into the
conservatory, whatever it's called.
Conservatorium, yep, where her father controlled the money, but there were always reports of her being abused as well, allegedly.
We don't even know. Like, there's the whole part of this that we don't know. You look at Britney Spears, we don't know the 90% of abuse.
Yeah, we see the effects of it, but we don't know what
and Amanda
happened.
Bynes, we don't know what happened to her. I mean, she obviously has severe mental illness, but there's some kind of triggering event there, it seems, that kind of set her off.
1,000%.
Jonathan Brandis is another one who killed himself, who was very popular. He was in Sequest. And,
the guy from Linkin Park.
No, he was an
That's
actor.
Chester
in the 80s.
Bennington.
Yeah. But no, Jonathan Brandis was very famous in the 80s. He was in movies with, like, I think he did a Chuck Norris movie, Sidekicks. He was in a bunch of stuff.
I remember him in Sequest because he was with the dude from Jaws, Roy Schneider. And he was the captain of the boat. That's the only reason why I remember it. Yeah, but he died of suicide as well. You're right. There's this weird pattern of children who go through this system, the Hollywood system specifically, and then the only reason we know about them is because we knew about them when they were famous, and then what happens to them as a result of that fame. How often is this going on in other? I mean, you see it it was happening in the Catholic Church. I don't know if it still happens in the Catholic Church. It's happened in the Boy Scouts. There is this weird portion of when people get into power, for some reason, the correlation is to sexually abuse young children. Why is that?
Don't ask me that question.
It's simply based on access.
It's access.
That's what these people thrive on. They know how to manipulate systems. They know how to get themselves into positions of power. And as soon as they have access to vulnerable kids, if you remember that documentary that blew up a couple of years ago, Quiet on Set? That was the Netflix documentary. The whole thing with Drake Bell, the one producer that was brutally molesting him for years. It was purely based on access. He knew he was the breadwinner of his family. He knew how important it was for him to keep his roles, so he kept his mouth shut for a really long time because he didn't want to have his family lose out on their ability to succeed.
So are you saying that pedophiles seek these positions of power? Because I don't know if it's that. So what I've seen in Hollywood, which is a weird thing, is that you're given everything you want. When you reach a certain level of power, you're just afforded anything in life, and it all stops having meaning. Because you're just not designed to be that way. And then you start looking for the more controversial things. Even, what's his name, who's not even in Hollywood. Oh, God, the guy who's like a millionaire who had a heart attack because he drank and he did Viagra and stuff like that. And he was on, he goes on these weird rants about it, like Jews all the time. Wow.
Dan Bilzerian?
Dan Bilzerian. Didn't
that is what nailed it down to me. Rant goes on weird rants about the Jews all the time. But Dan Bilzerian.
Yeah, but didn't he say something about like having slept with men? Was it him?
No, Charlie Sheen did a documentary where he said he had done everything sexually that he could ever imagine, and then he went, well, I'll just turn to guys, and he started making love to men.
I think that is and then when you're done with that, what's the next controversial thing that you have to have that is denied to you? Right? So, like, people will always seek what's denied to them if they're given everything. So I think there's some weird, sick, ultimate demonstration of I could do the most disgusting thing in the world and I can get away with it and I'm given everything anyway, that this is the one last challenge for me. That might be the psychological thing taking place there. But it just doesn't. It's so weird to me because I was talking to my brother about this the other day. I'm like, literally about this subject because he watched this documentary in Japan or Korea where it was this normal town. And these people took this girl and started abusing her and raping her, and then the whole town got involved. And it's a real story. Regular people would have never done this. They started bringing their friends, and these are like regular, supposedly good people, and it was just like this progression of normalcy to do this to this girl for an extended period of time until she finally got out. But it's like there's this weird break that happens psychologically.
Yeah. If you take a place like that and scale it up to an entire country and let it go for a few hundred years, you would get India and Pakistan, where they just do that as a matter of course, and they do that everywhere they go. That's the grooming gangs in England as well. So it's access, but it's also, you know, a kind of desire to have what's denied to you. It's certainly a balance of that. But back to the Kurt Cobain angle, it shows that he was aware of this kind of thing. Like, this was just a matter of historical record that really resonated with him. So I'm sure he saw things like that, as do most people who are in these kinds of industries.
And the other thing is the internet. We hate on it a lot, but having communities like this where we can go back and forth, discuss, put a comment here, do research together, vent together, like it can stop things. And I don't know if you're going to move on to the next thing. If I can give
go ahead.
A quick disclaimer. I don't know if you can read it. Like, ooh, crap. Oh my God.
Well,
the whole set just falls apart.
Just a,
Okay, hold on. Let me do this properly. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of self-harm or suicide, please seek help immediately. You are not alone. In the United States, you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Available 24/7 and free of charge. If you are in immediate danger, call 911. For viewers outside of the U.S., please contact your local emergency number or visit the county's official health services website for crisis support resources. Seeking help is a sign of strength.
perfect.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Can we move on to the next topic?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not going to get any more cheerful from here on out, guys.
No, but this.
I tried to make it as serious as I could, but I'm a jackass. Sorry.
But yeah, it's YouTube safe. And if you are struggling, don't have a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Seek help.
Yeah, and have an Oreo. And always, when I'm bummed out, an Oreo always makes my life feel better.
cured depression.
Yeah, it does. Oreos cure depression, not the peanut butter.
You must have been really depressed.
They have
I was.
They have
Still
peanut
am.
butter ones. Oh my God.
Oh, they have Thin Mints. All right, that's another
This used
conversation.
to be a country.
Let's figure out the final topic because we have limited time left, and I want to get to one more topic before we wrap up.
It's got to be
today's show.
Epstein stuff. The things that have broken just since this morning.
Epstein?
Prince.
I'm good with
the
Epstein.
Prince.
Epstein? All right, let's jump right into a royal pain. Yeah. Prince, no, it's not even Prince Andrew anymore. Let me properly announce him. Andrew
Ex-Prince.
Albert Christian Edward Mountbatten-Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, was taken into custody earlier this morning. I woke up to this news at 5:55 this morning, alerts from every outlet. So this entire time we've been told, and I tried to tie it into Kash Patel saying that Jeffrey Epstein never trafficked anybody, but that's not what the actual charges are. So if you're thinking that Andrew was brought in on charges of child trafficking and rape, and that's not the case. This is different. Prince Andrew was arrested in the United Kingdom over Epstein document ties. Lexley Wesner also testified that he was fully duped by Epstein, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Plus, there is new investigations into the Zora Ranch. All of that we are going to cover in the next 20 minutes or so. Arrested by the Thames Valley Police. Is that
Thames.
Thames. Not close at all. Not even
You nailed it. I like your way more. I like Thames more.
You did the American pronunciation.
Like I'm a stupid immigrant. He used to work for radio. Really.
To be fair, that was a
we never
difficult
talked
one.
about the United Kingdom. I was like, hey, here's the next Britney Spears song.
That was
Look,
a
it's
difficult
because
one.
the British invented the English language and then forgot how to speak it. So it should be pronounced Thames according to the laws that they wrote.
Thank you. Make
But,
America great again and
How
United
dare
Kingdom.
you.
The police arrested Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor on suspicion of misconduct in public office for sharing confidential documents with Epstein as the UK trade envoy. In fact, I believe this. Yeah, the potential sentence for this is a life sentence if he's convicted.
Whoa.
Now, that being said, he is the brother of the king.
Which really doesn't seem to be doing him any favors.
Well,
'Cause
even-
if he's been kicked out of royal residences. He's had his title
Correct.
stripped. He's no longer allowed at royal functions. The king even put out a statement of like, we're going to let justice take its course. The king has no say in this, apparently.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame. Apparently, according to reports, Andrew paid off Virginia Giuffre to the tune of $2 million for her silence, and he didn't have that money. He had to go to his mother, the queen at the time, to get that money. So there's always been hostilities within the family. It's what happens when you're an alleged pedophile.
And the queen's like, come on, we just shelled out like $10 million to kill Diana. You got to charge us
role play
again?
that conversation. Mother, I need some money.
Mother, I have been with the children, and I wish to keep them silent.
Emails from the Department of Justice's Epstein files suggest that Andrew forwarded reports of a 2010 South Asia visit and Afghanistan opportunities to Epstein. The two met back in 1999 via Ghislaine Maxwell. He was stripped of his titles in 2025, evicted from the Royal Lodge, and moved to Sandringham. So that is the most recent update regarding
It's also
Andrew's
his
involvement.
66th birthday today, so...
Wow, so
he's not
you
having
share a
fun.
birthday with Prince Andrew.
I do, apparently. I'm just...
What else do you guys have in common?
Fellas come.
Royal family members.
Do you guys think he'll end up
Crime.
seeing a life sentence? Do you think there will be anything that comes of this investigation? It's early on into the investigation, but do you guys foresee any type of justice, even somewhat small? Maybe they don't get him on the sex trafficking charges, but he's still being locked in prison for the rest of his life. That is some form of justice for the victims. Do you guys think that that's going to happen?
Number one, I for the first time have a little bit of hope that there will be some kind of consequence here. So yeah, I do believe there'll be some kind of punishment. I don't believe it's going to be a life sentence, but he's 66, so even if he gets 10 years in prison, that's a big whopper for the rest of his life. But man, oh man, am I keeping my fingers crossed that we start seeing consequences here.
Or could this was what I was going back and forth with this morning. I was going, or yes, I'm glad that they're finally holding someone accountable. Or could this be a way to just hold someone accountable who has already been in the files? Everybody knows he's an alleged creep based on his interactions with Virginia Giuffre and then his weird interviews and explanations as to why he could not have been with Virginia Giuffre when that infamous photo was taken, specifically remembering a child's birthday party at a pizzeria. And
also his excuse that, I had a medical condition, I couldn't sweat.
Prevented him from sweating while they were dancing.
Quite the condition.
So, or could this be just a way to give the public, hey, there's one person. So now everybody's like, well, we got justice, we can move on, even though it's justice for somebody we've already known has been implicated in these
I don't think they believe it's going to get anyone to move on. I also think that Americans, because of seeing this, are going to want more justice here in the United States. So I think this can set a precedent. I really hope that's what it does. Could they be dumb and think that this is going to push people off and be like, oh, okay, all the other pedophiles can get away with it now? I really don't believe that.
I worked in the office and I was filming, shouting and screaming, how did this Palms get an arrest and we haven't got an arrest yet? And I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to have to be that guy. I don't think him being arrested is enough. We need to go back to the true King of England. Have you guys heard about the Jacobite claims?
Oh, don't give me that.
I want to hear this. I want to hear. I don't know.
Well, there's claims that the Windsors are not the true royalty of England. They are a German dynasty that took over the throne after the Glorious Revolution. And the true King of England,
he's in Liechtenstein, I think.
Yeah, from the House of Stuart. All right. So I think he needs to go to jail, and then they need to get rid of the Windsors.
It's Catholic propaganda to try to.
It's not Catholic propaganda.
Stop spreading your. What is this accent I'm doing? Stop spreading this. I'm Scottish now. It's weather's manga.
Where they actually might want the Catholics back over in like Ireland. But no, don't give us the Jacobin Revolution is going to restore Catholicism and overturn the Anglican Church.
Guys in the chat will know what I'm talking
I don't
about.
have anything vested in the Anglican Church, but we're not letting Catholics colonize the United Kingdom again.
Better than some other guys.
I suppose
they're not being
true.
nice. They're not being very nice.
They're not very good either.
They're not very good either.
Over the royal family. But I've seen a lot of people asking the question of, okay, what does this mean? We now have an arrest for something in the Epstein files. And Ilana and I were talking before the show, and it does kind of prove that in addition to all the child trafficking, there was also this other huge criminal enterprise going on surrounding Epstein of exchanging government documents and classified information. There's been allegations of money laundering, and that was actually the core of the business, and the child trafficking was just more of a hobby for them. But hey, at least it's an arrest. Somebody who got outed from the files has been arrested. And people were saying, have we ever seen a royal held accountable for this? Well, actually, Humberto's least favorite European country, Norway.
100%.
If we look over in Norway, it turns out the Norwegian crown princess was in the Epstein files, and this connection has been known for a while.
Not surprised.
She apologized and said, we only kind of knew each other. But then, funnily enough, this broke right at the same time that one of her sons was just put on trial for rape, multiple counts of rape. So we are seeing technically members of European royal families. It wasn't in connection with Epstein, but his mother was certainly in connection with Epstein. And for these files to come out proving that connection was deeper than we were previously led to believe, the same week that he goes on trial for multiple counts of rape,
funny timing.
It shows that there's some scrutiny of Europe's royal families that might not have been there in the past.
Yeah, but why do we not have any here in the United States? There's been zero arrests for Jeffrey Epstein's activities. The only real repercussions we've seen, the Sultan who was emailing Jeffrey Epstein about the torture video, he had stepped down from the company that he was the CEO of, not an American company. You take a look at There's the Wasserman guy that owns the agency here in the United States. He is looking to sell his company and get out because there are artists leaving the agency. But there's been no convictions, no arrests. Les Wexner was speaking in Ohio yesterday. He testified to the House Oversight Committee, said he was duped by the world-class conman known as Jeffrey Epstein, who hid his double life in criminal activities. He never witnessed, this according to Wexner, he never witnessed nor had any knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities. He claims that he cut ties in 2007 after abuse and theft discovery. This is the most interesting part because I had to ask this to Grok this morning as I was driving in.
Well, first of all, hold on. Does this look like a guy who's being duped and coerced? This looks like a guy who's having a good time with his good buddy Jeff.
Well, and so the financial, okay, here, where is it? Right here. Les Wexner gave full power of attorney over his billions of dollars. In 1991, he granted Epstein full power of attorney over his billions, letting him sign checks, hire and fire people, buy and sell properties, and borrow money with no oversight. Wexner then transferred his $9 million Manhattan townhouse to Epstein just for just $10, which we'll get to. That also happened with Howard Lutnik, apparently, plus a luxury Ohio estate and access to his private jet. Epstein allegedly misappropriated hundreds of millions of dollars, ended up returning $100 million in 2008. Virginia Giuffre claimed that she had sex acts that involved Wexner, and Epstein was named as the trustee of Wexner's Kids Trust. So I asked Grok, I said, hey, Grok, I'm not a rich person. I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars. Is it commonplace in the community of very well-off individuals to do all of the things that Les Wexner did with Jeffrey Epstein regarding trusts and homes, guardianship, and control? Is this normal for someone to do? Grok's response, no. That's extremely unusual and not normal, even for billionaires. Experts and reports call Wexner's full power of attorney over billions, $10 mansion transfers, and trustee roles for his kids' trust extraordinarily rare, typically reserved for family or top lawyers, not advisors, with a massive red flag over regarding no oversight into any of this. So there's no explanation. You may be like, well, maybe that's how the rich live. No, that's not how anyone lives. Nobody gives full power of attorney to another individual over every single aspect of their life and then giving them townhomes for $10 that are worth millions. So Les Wexner not being held accountable, it's a closed-door testimony. The guy is, how old's he got to be? If in that photo, he looks 70, and that photo is 20 years old, so he's got to be in his 90s.
Right? Isn't it 88?
So 88? At this point, we're not going to see anything come of this, right? According to Kash Patel, Jeffrey Epstein never sex trafficked any individuals to any individuals. Dan Bongino said that Jeffrey Epstein acted alone. So how can you hold a guy accountable if the guy that committed the crimes didn't work with any people, according to the government?
Financial crimes.
That's what they have to go after.
I'd take it as a baseline. If you can go through the Epstein files and find all the people who illicitly moved money, who mismanaged funds, who committed fraud, and just start by arresting them, good place to begin, at the very least. So maybe Wexner never molested an underage girl, but maybe they committed some kind of fraud with the money that Epstein was managing for him.
It's a really good point.
Good enough.
Well,
good enough.
But that fraud seems to implicate a similar pattern happened with Jeffrey Epstein, I believe, owned 976th Street East was the address. Howard Lutnik lived 2 doors down at 1176th Street, which is very interesting. If you're into the numerology thing, Epstein's apartment's 9 and Lutnik's apartment's 11, 911. But Lutnik, according to reports, purchased that home for $10. Now, that's not entirely true. If you actually look into it, he spent like $7 million on the home, but this is often a way for people who are of well-to-do means to avoid paying taxes, to avoid it publicly being known how much the homes they're buying and selling are going for. What does that say? I can barely read that.
This is one of the documents you sent me. It's one of the files that came out. Lutnik was a neighbor of Jeffrey Epstein in the adjoining property at 11 East 71st Street, New York, New York. Lutnik bought the property for $10 through a trust. Les Wexner and Epstein own and it continues onto the following page. But like the same arrangement he had with Wexner of buying through the trust property for $10.
And now you know that Howard Lutnick's a big fat phony liar because you saw him lying about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. He was on the Miranda Devine podcast, the same woman that we played earlier with Laura Trump, where he said that he knew Epstein was a creep from the moment that he met him and wanted nothing to do with him and was not in a room alone with him at any point moving forward. But then there's emails that come out of Howard Lutnik emailing Jeffrey Epstein that he was traveling with his kids and another family and their kids, and they were looking to stop at his island. Then he listed the ages of all of the children.
Well, actually, we got emails even later than that, because in that interview with Miranda Devine, he said, we cut off all contact in 2005. And we've always said that the hard stop where it's acceptable to be associated with Epstein is 2009, when he gets arrested for sex trafficking the first time. Or what was it, prostitution?
Soliciting prostitution of a minor.
I'm moving the line back to 2007 when Discovery started.
Yeah, so like that's
my opinion.
The 2007 to 2009 window, it's questionable, but that's the hard
within
stop.
reason.
Then we find out that Lutnik is going to the island with his family for lunch in 2012. Then further analysis of the Epstein files that came out most recently have exposed that they had communications all the way up to 2018.
Yeah, apparently he was
the
trying
year before
to
he died.
solicit donations for Hillary Clinton's 2016 run against Donald Trump for president of the United States. Lutnik was soliciting donations on behalf of Clinton through Epstein.
The problem here is, so there's an absurd amount of correlation to sketchiness, but how much actual evidence of that the FBI can go take and start arresting people is there? That's the main problem I think that's going on here. If they're trying to make cases against people, it seems like it's a difficult thing just based on correlative things.
I think I went over it 2 shows ago that this is a funnel. Like you have every document, and not all documents are evidence. And then you have documents that could be evidence, but because of chain of custody, they are disqualified as evidence. If they were grabbed, I don't know what, obtained in a way that is not legal, that takes them out of evidence. So the funnel goes down until you have to have qualified evidence for these cases. It's very slim. It goes from 100% of the documents to 3%, 4% of everything they can come through. And then once they have it, it can be disproven in court. So it's very difficult. There's a
big process.
Yeah, there's a great book by a lawyer called Harvey Silvergate that's called 3 Felonies a Day. All right? I'm not saying anything here, but the average American, because how vague and how many laws there is in the book, commits 3 felonies a day. It's not exact. It's an exaggeration to show how
those are rookie numbers. Get your numbers up.
Just farting on my dog down as
just getting to work every day.
But if there was an actual correlation and someone actually wanted to do something, as Connor said, financial crimes. I don't know. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but people look very guilty.
I'd like to stick on Lutnik for a second. Can we go to the video of... Oh, yes, we still have not even touched 9/11, and we have to wrap up because we're running over. So,
geez, that's a good one.
Can we play the video? Forget this clip, because that's Donald Trump saying it's not a big deal. What did Jeffrey Epstein know about 9/11 and Howard Lutnik? So there's very interesting. Can you play the clip that I sent you of Howard Lutnik? It was from my tweet where Howard Lutnik talks about his first day, his child's first day at kindergarten and him being a part of it. This is from 2001. Howard Lutnik is working on what floor inside of the World Trade Center? It was high up. Cantor Fitzgerald lost 700 employees in the 9/11 attacks. Howard Lutnik, who was the CEO of that company, was not in the office that day. According to him, he went and took his son to his first day of kindergarten. Here's a clip of Howard Lutnik from 2001 talking with Fox News about where he was on the day of 9/11, and listen to what he does. It's very interesting, but listen to what he does in the immediate aftermath of September 11th. Go ahead, Connor.
Center. The head of Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnik, just happened to be out of the office that day that the terrorists struck. Mr. Lutnik was taking his son to his first day of kindergarten. Now he says he has a very different view of business and life. He spoke to our business correspondent, Terry Keenan, earlier today.
We are really focused on trying to make sure that our 700 families who lost a member of their family are taken care of. And so I spent the day yesterday and part of the day in talking to our insurance company. Our insurance company, CNA, told me that they would, they told our guys, they didn't tell me, and then they told me that that they were willing to treat this as an accidental death, which means that they would double the policy for all of my victims upstairs and all of us, and so that added $35 million to that group upstairs. But the sad thing is, so $35 million sounds like so much money, but if you divide it by 700 people, it's only $50,000. It's not enough to. So that's why we need to work on our foundation.
Yeah, and you've set up that foundation. We'll give the information to our viewers. Explain the needs of these young families. Many of your traders were just in their 30s.
We've got the average employee we have is around 33 years old. So they're just married. We have probably a dozen women who are pregnant with babies who just lost their husbands. We've got lots and lots and lots and lots. We must have more than 1,000 children, 1,500 children who've now lost one of their parents, and they've lost the breadwinner that makes all the money. So we are dedicated to raising money for our foundation, which will go to take care of and try to help the victims of this horrible tragedy and try to make their lives a little easier, whether that pays for, health insurance for a long, long time, or gets them some extra money, or makes their lives even this much easier. I mean, that's what we're doing, and that's what we're driving for, and it's called the Cantor Fitzgerald Foundation. And anyone who can make a donation to it is going to help a lot of people who really, really need it.
And just finally, it was just, accident of timing and luck on your part that you weren't in the building. And I know some of the other survivors here. How do you feel? It must, tear you in so many different directions.
I don't know why I'm alive. I not only I didn't get to the building early enough so that I wasn't in it, but then I stood outside at the door helping people out and telling them to come on, get out, and asking what floor they were on, trying to find the higher and higher floors so that I could hopefully find someone coming down from 101, so that meant our guys and our women had survived. But, I'm standing under the building when the number 2 collapses, and I'm just lucky to be alive, and I don't know why I am, but
you can cut it.
You know what? I'm just.
So Howard Lutnik talks about how he was dropping his son off at kindergarten. And the clip goes on. And in that clip, he talks about dropping his son off for his first day of kindergarten on September 11th of 2001. And that's why he wasn't in the towers. But then I went and I actually dug in. This is my tweet from over the weekend. I think I went viral, which is pretty cool. I had 265,000 views. For the past 24 years, Howard Lutnik claimed he wasn't in the Cantor Fitzgerald offices inside the World Trade Center on 9/11 because he was dropping his son off for his first day of kindergarten at Horace Mann School. However, records indicate Horace Mann's first day of school was a week earlier on September 5th of 2001. So where was Lutnik on 9/11? Why wasn't he in the building? Why does it look like he lied for the past 24 years? And if he did have foreknowledge of the 9/11 attacks, why didn't he share that with his brother Gary, who died in the attack? So I'm very sorry for your loss, Howard Lutnik. My question is, you drop your son off at daycare, and then the biggest terrorist attack in United States history is ongoing. Your son's at a kindergarten. You go and act as a doorstop at World Trade Center. So you rush down to where a plane had just impacted one building. You're standing in the doorway of that building as another plane smashes into the other building. To do what purpose? To serve as a doorstop? You don't leave to go try and get your son out of kindergarten like a father would do? All of this, in my opinion, is bullshit. I don't believe Howard Lutnik for 1 second, and I stopped believing in Howard Lutnik when it turned out that he lied about his association with Jeffrey Epstein. So how long has he been a liar? You're a big fibber, Howard Lutnik. Explain to me how, if you're a father, you're a stepfather, you're one day going to have children.
Hopefully.
You're not going to run to get your kids out of the harm's way. You don't know what's going on in the chaos of 9/11. As a father, the first thing I'm doing isn't acting as a doorstop and holding up the door for anyone. It's going and getting my kid out of this first day of school at Horace Mann School, which, again, maybe he's rich and they were on vacation the week before on Epstein's Island. Who knows? Maybe the kid was sick and he missed the first day of week of school. I can see how some of those things could lead to speculation or to give you an excuse as to where you were that day. But to not go down and grab your own child out of kindergarten, You just dropped them off. Instead, you're going to stand at the bottom of a building that's about to collapse to hold the door open. You could grab an ashtray, one of those big ashtrays, and hold the door open. We didn't need you there, Howard.
Well, if this was an isolated incident, it would you could explain it away. But bear in mind, Larry Silverstein, who owned the property of the World Trade
had
Center,
breakfast every morning at Windows of the World, which was located on the top floors of the World Trade Center.
And for some reason on September 11th, did not have breakfast there
He
and
had
was
a
not present in the building.
dermatologist appointment that he had forgotten about that his wife reminded him of the day of.
And was not there, and then proceeded to receive the largest insurance payout in human history.
As did Counter Fitzgerald. They won a $131 million lawsuit. I believe it was against the airlines for the attacks. And there are reports, and I have not been able to verify them, so I don't want to put misinformation out there, but there are reports that some of that money didn't make its way to the families of the victims and instead went to pay off some of the business losses of Cantor Fitzgerald.
And I know it's been, 25 years now since 9/11? So you see clearly Howard Lutnik has, some emotions about it during that interview. That's in the days right after. Those emotions have clearly died off in the last 25 years.
180-degree spin on how he remembers 9/11 today.
I mean, he literally watched the plane go into the building, go into the World Trade Center. Amazing story. That alone is an amazing story. He was delayed because his wife insisted that he finally, after years, take his child to school. So he took his child to school that one day because normally he would have been in the building at 6.
Okay, he just said for years of not taking his child to school, his wife made him take his child to school, but it was his child's first day of kindergarten. Now, maybe he did pre-K, but I wouldn't consider that
Or
years.
did he have another kid?
It might have been. But this dude's standing there cackling like a hyena as Trump is describing. He stood there and he watched the planes fly into the building.
And I got to think, if your brother died in those terrorist attacks, that's not the way you're
That's
responding.
less amusing to you.
His brother passed away?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's his incentive here? I understand $131 million payoff, but that's not, and a lot of it went to the families at a minimum. Like, I always look for conspiracies for motive, ability to pull it off, and then how many people would have to be involved in it for it to actually happen, right? So what is his incentive in all of this?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know why you would lie about being there. Maybe it's just, there's a comedian to this day, Steve Rannazzisi, who was on a show called The League. He claimed that he was in the towers on 9/11 and survived. Then it turns out years later, they found out that he was actually uptown, not downtown. He wasn't even near the buildings when they happened. There was the story of the woman. There's a documentary out there, the woman who wasn't there, a woman who lied about being a survivor of the World Trade Center attacks. Sometimes people see these opportunities to make themselves part of the story. And then I got to believe that maybe there's a part where you tell the story so many times that the lie becomes truth for you, that the fiction becomes fact, and that's what you live in.
But is it even possible that he just never showed up to work on time, was embarrassed about it? He was kind of didn't work there as often as he should, wasn't it? Like, I would love for someone to do research to see how often he was actually there at that time every day for the previous year. And let's see if it wasn't anomalous for him to show up extremely late. Maybe it's just, you know what I mean? And then he doesn't want to come out and say that on public TV. I never show up to work on time. So he has this whole story of I was taking my kid to kindergarten. So there's always in these crazy, anytime there's a crazy thing like this, and this is probably the biggest one in history, there's always these anomalous, weird cases just because of statistical probability. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people involved in this. So I don't know. I need to know incentive. So that's the main thing I always come back to is why? Why did he lie? What was his incentive? And is he involved in what actually happened?
Before we move on, I want to, and before we wrap up, because we're running over. So real quick, because I know the team that's in the back that is not getting to go to lunch right now. I apologize, but I want to thank you for working overtime. I have your names written down. I know it's Malik, it's John, it's, let's see, Jake, Malik, John, and Gunnar. So thank you guys for sticking with us overtime, and we're going to wrap up on this. This is why I wanted to bring up the Howard Lutnik stuff, the Epstein stuff all together, because I love 9/11. Not like the act of it. I love reading about it. I should probably say that. I love reading about 9/11, not I love 9/11. These are emails that were discovered inside of the Epstein files, and it looks very suspicious in regards to 9/11. Now, Connor, if you could in 30 seconds, could you tell us about the missing gap of information in the Epstein files? Wow. Okay, that's a visual representation, and it's very, very telling.
So you might have seen this chart going around on social media. I looked. It is largely verified. And of course, because there's still 3 million documents in this batch, it's hard to, go through piece by piece, but we're slowly dissecting them. There is a timeline of all the documents we have on Jeffrey Epstein from, the moment he was arrested in 2009 until his death in 2019 and then things afterwards, where every year we have communications. We have documents and emails back and forth between people. We have criminal investigation documents as the cases were prosecuted against him. There is a crater in 2001
clearly
surrounding Jeffrey Epstein where directly before, during, and after 9/11, there are essentially no documents, no communications from Epstein, ingoing or outgoing. There is nothing about what Jeffrey Epstein was doing in 2001. Maybe that means he just stopped talking to people in 2001 and had no thoughts on 9/11 that happened in a city where he maintained frequent residence. Or maybe those are the documents that were withheld and we were told we're never getting those.
The 3.5 million documents that we're missing.
Some of the ones that made it through the cracks, though, are,
that's very
worthwhile discussing. Here's one between Ghislaine Maxwell and independent journalist Edward J. Epstein, apparently of no relation, inviting Ghislaine Maxwell to sit on the 9/11 Shadow Commission.
Any interest in being on the Shadow Commission on 9/11, the membership list is secret.
Thanks for the invite, responds Ghislaine. Unfortunately, I cannot be on the Shadow Commission provides the time.
Hey, has anybody read the emails like this? We should do that, where I'll play Jeffrey Epstein and then you will play Ghislaine Maxwell.
You have to do it in a women's voice.
Go ahead. And British.
And British.
Oh, I'm not even going to try at this
Go
point.
to the next
But
one.
the more interesting one is this one from Philip Levine, where Ghislaine Maxwell... from Philip Levine to Ghislaine Maxwell. Where is the real pilot sent on September 18th, 2001?
Literally a week from the day, which, by the way, if you go read about Muhammad Atta and what his father claims, according to Muhammad Atta's father, now, it's hard to give the leading terrorist of the worst terror attack in United States history to try and give him any reliability or his father. But according to Muhammad Atta's father, he spoke with his son after the September 11th attacks. His son was one of the pilots that died on 9/11. A terrorist. He was one of the terrorists that hijacked the plane, pilots. His father claims that he spoke with his son after the September 11th attacks. His son said that he was alive and had no participation in the attacks whatsoever. And now you have an email coming out to Ghislaine Maxwell the week after 9/11 where they're questioning where the real pilot is. Is there anything here, or are we just trying to connect the dots? And are there any more 9/11 emails that you have, or is that it?
So these are the two primary ones, but it does go to show, just like with so many other things, you got to be careful of not blowing it up into the conspiracy theory that answers everything. Epstein is not the perfect solution to everything that has ever happened. You're not going to find who killed Kennedy in the Epstein files. You're not going to find the solution to, the greatest mysteries of the universe hidden there. And it's starting to get to that point because apparently one of the guys in the Epstein files was a professor who got half his hand blown off by Ted Kaczynski. So now people are starting to say that the Unabomber was targeting people on the Epstein list. There's no evidence of that. But the pieces fit together too well for people who aren't paying super close attention. So we're not saying that Jeffrey Epstein was responsible for 9/11. It just seems that a lot of people in Epstein's orbit also had a lot of interest in the events before, during, and after 9/11. Investigating where the real pilot is. Guys who were connected to him getting massive insurance payouts and not showing up to the towers on the day of. So I don't even know what we make of this, but it's a real question that I think
definitely
is worth
suspicious email. It's a troubling email to see. But what I will say is immediately after 9/11, there were already conspiracies going around. I don't know if you guys were in New York right after 9/11, but there were these guys within months of 9/11 hanging around and hanging out these old school DVDs, loose change.
Yeah.
And so I picked up a loose change DVD.
You have an original copy?
I don't know if I have it anymore, but that's the first time I saw the
That'd be worth a little bit of money right now.
They had them with like little graphics on it, loose change. I remember it perfectly because it was like pulled me into this 9/11 conspiracy stuff. The problem is, again, a lot of information gets convoluted. Some of it's easily disproven, but then when you see something like this, you have to wonder why they're writing that. Were they just commenting on a conspiracy that was already circulating? Do they know something about a real pilot? We're never going to get answers.
I was not investigating 9/11 conspiracy theories in the immediate aftermath on account of I was in Florida and 4. So you know, I'm a
Allegedly.
little bit late to the game on that one.
Where were you in Florida? Were you at the flight school where the terrorists trained?
Yes.
Fort Lauderdale Aviation.
Well, no, it was actually, the weirdest part is that it was in Venice, Florida, which is on the west coast of Florida, but it's actually just an hour south of where the president was when he found out that the attacks had happened. So these guys, literally, what are the odds that the terrorists are training at a facility in Venice, Florida, of all places, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on seasonal traffic, from Sarasota, Florida, where President Bush was reading My Pet Goat to the children when this attack happened. And then if you really read into some of the ties to other intelligence communities regarding 9/11 attacks, there's the Ogido app. Have you guys ever heard about that? The Israeli-owned... the Israeli-owned instant messaging service.
The secret Jewish group chat that let everybody know not to come to work that day. I haven't been able to find evidence of that, and of course it seems a little bit psychotic to suggest that all the Jews are in a group chat.
And a lot of Jews did die on 9/11.
Yeah.
That's 100%
exactly.
Right. But then you also look at the dancing Israelis, which they ended up capturing those guys, held them here in the United States for 30 days, and then sent them to Israel, and we've never heard from them since.
And so
I researched that in depth.
Howard Lutnik loses his brother. So that's like a real thing. You would assume that Howard Lutnik, if he had information, would tell his brother, don't go to work.
My mom says it's a blood sacrifice. Go ahead.
You really believe it's a blood? Like,
My
I don't know.
mom did.
Nothing would make me give up my. And again, I don't know the incentive for Lutnik, but the 5 dancing Israeli things, I looked into it like crazy. They were never actually dancing. There was no evidence they were dancing. There was just a woman who called the police saying that they look suspicious and they look happy.
I reported they were on top of the van in the parking lot of the woman's apartment complex. That's what
They were across. She was watching them through her window, and she said, "I saw them. They looked too happy, and they looked like they were recording the event." They did say they were recording the event, but they did do multiple.
They said they were there to document the event.
No, they never said that. They said that they were there and they started documenting it once it happened. They were there for they had little box cutter knives on them, which people said was suspicious, but they were there for a moving company. Is that my phone this time?
No, it's mine.
But they were there for moving company and stuff like that. There are explanations to all this stuff. And then
Then when they raided the urban moving company's facilities, it was empty. There was nothing inside of the facilities for the company that these guys
or the Israeli companies. Yeah, and then they did pass numerous lie detector tests, but could Mossad agents pass lie detector tests?
There's also that group of Israeli art students that were taking a tour of the World Trade Center a few weeks beforehand and kept going into areas they weren't supposed to go. And of course, this is all conjecture. These are all things that people have pieced together over the decades.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's hardcore proof of it. But again, these are all weird little data points that add up to questions that people are really seriously asking. And real quick, just to point it out, Cenk Uygur is now a 9/11 truther.
Yeah, well,
he caught some heat for this.
I no longer believe official 9/11 stories. 2 paper passports did not burn and were found on the rubble, but it was so hot, World Trade Center 7 burned down across the street.
This is
nonsense.
Real.
It's time to look for who gained from 9/11. Our government doesn't work for us. They've been lying this whole time.
Wait, another fact. You know who was with him that day?
With Cenk?
Yeah. This guy right here. Right?
On the day he posted this.
No joke.
Not on 9/11. You were with him on the day he posted
I was like, why were you with Cenk Uygur?
So look, here is what's very possible.
Wrap up. I'm good.
Here's what is very possible. So number one, I have, like I've said many times before, my family is from Iraq. This type of fanaticism and anti-Western ideology, the notion that there aren't terrorists who would try and destroy the buildings on 9/11 and that they wouldn't destroy a lot of other things in our country is a dangerous path to go down because that ideology does exist. There's been 65,000 terrorist attacks since 9/11 around the world, many of them not in the United States. So this is not just because we're American and we support Israel. The vast majority of those 65,000 terrorist attacks are happening in other parts of the world. But again, it doesn't mean that intelligence communities didn't catch wind of this, didn't either intentionally not communicate it properly or just were so disorganized, like the mainstream story said, that it happened. But it's very, very hard for me to believe again, I need to know the incentive for why people got so involved and allowed their brother to die and allowed family members to die just for the $5 million he might have made off of an insurance payout and that he hasn't given up that information. To me, that's a little bit of a hard.
Okay, well, that's it. We do have to go. By the way, thank you for watching. If you are new to the Unusual Suspects podcast, we are live every week, Tuesdays or Thursdays at 6 p.m. We don't know yet. It seems to fluctuate. If you have not already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. And as Humberto so eloquently said earlier, make sure you share as well. All of the guys that you see on today's podcast are on Manect. Connor has a Substack, link in the description. Humberto has a Manect, link in the description. Alon has a Guard Watches, EGARD watches.com.
Yes.
And his link is in the description as well. He's also on Manect. I am on Manect as well. And if you would like, you can join the Unusual Suspects Circle. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. There is a Manect link in the description below. Join us, give us feedback on the show, things you like, things you don't, topics you want to see us cover, guests you want us to speak with, etc. So make sure you join the Unusual Suspects Manect chat today, Manect Circle. And to the crew in the back who have stayed overtime, Gunnar, Jake, John, and Malik, thank you very much for helping. And thank you at home for watching. Thank you guys for being a part of the podcast.